Hello and welcome. In this lecture, we are going to test our completed project. So open up your Visual Studio and make sure you've got the project open. And let's click on the Start button. That will start debugging or testing the application. So we'll click Start. If you need to escape the screen, just press Enter or press any key and that should stop. The reason you had so many flickering was that the interval, if I go back into the design view, click on the timer, the interval for the screen to refresh is referencing this value of 40 milliseconds, which is fast. What that's doing basically is it will refresh the screen about 25 times a second. So you may not want it to do that. You can change that 1 minute. If you want it to refresh for 1 minute, you need to change this value to 60,000. So 1 minute will give you 60,000 milliseconds. So let's check that out and see the difference. Click Start. All right, you can see the difference now that the flickering is not as much. So it doesn't refresh. It will refresh every 1 minute rather than about 25 times a second. So I think this is more controlled refresh rate. So I just press. I also noticed that the images on the screen are added on from the picture directory. And what happens, the code we have written, it will keep adding an image onto the screen until it gets to 50. When it gets up to 50, it then stops. As long as the images on the screen are less than 50, it will keep adding until it gets to that point. That was, we had a variable and a counter set to control that. So there are some images also hidden behind some other images. So notice there's just been a flickering, so it has just refreshed. So I press Enter or any key on the keyboard, and that should stop the screensaver. So if you want the screensaver to refresh, for example, every 2 minutes, you change this value to 120,000. So let's go back into the code and check something. Here, this is what's responsible for the image count on the screen. Okay, so it will keep adding an image as long as it is less than 50. When it becomes 50, it will stop adding the images. So I want you to have a quick look. I'm going to try something out. Let's click this again so you see what the images look like. See what they look like now. I'm going to increase that value so that we have more images added. So I'm going to increase this from, say, 50. This value, by the way, play around with it and see what suits you best. I'm going to be adventurous and make this 3,000. So it will keep adding. That means it's going to add up to 3,000, 2,000 plus. You'll keep adding images until it gets to 3,000. Bear in mind, this can be intensive on memory usage on your computer, so don't do this. I'm only doing this just to illustrate something, but it is memory intensive, so it will use a lot of your memory and probably hold up some other resources that your computer needs. So be careful with that. I'm just doing this for illustration purposes. So let me click on Start so you can see the difference. It will add so many more images. There you go. You can see it's added. So the image keeps adding until it gets to almost 3,000. So it stops when the images are just less than 3,000. You can see the images everywhere. So what happens after every minute? It will shuffle the images round, you see, after every minute. So that's the difference. This is okay, but it can be memory intensive. So be careful. So the reason for that was because I increased the number of images here. So use this with caution. So if you want so many images on your screen, then you can increase the value. All right. So that's it for this lecture. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and bye for now.